pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jesus.
Clerk Golick, roll call.
Later than Monday, January 2nd. The sidewalk program, we will request your money as well. Some councilmen have funds and transfer, but those who do not, we will be asking a minimum amount of $10,000 more than we given if you so choose. For the city safety, we need a program for each district. Any questions on this, please contact Jonathan Parker at 853-6336 as a heads up, an amount of $8,000 will be requested from councilmen for professional engineering services. This services has benefited each district greatly in the past few years. Alley drainage issues are still ongoing, and when a total of each district is put together with quantities and costs, this information will be given to you. In the meantime, if there are any issues in your district you would like us to look at, please provide us the location. Thank you, the engineering department.
Any other communications?
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
also received a letter from Gary Gleason, and it states the people that are actually in capacity with the consolidation, and it says, to whom it may concern. After meeting with the mayor, we feel it would be more effective for each council person to contact an area supervisor. The following is the cell phone numbers of each supervisor, and it has them listed. And for District 1 is Donna Muter. For District 2 is Steve Fowler. For District 3, Tim Woods. District 4, Jason Donovan. District 5, James Pontrell. And District 6, Joe Mondizo. Medwitz. Thank you, Gary Gleason, as director.
Any other communications?
Nope, if you didn't get one, I ain't giving it.
Communications is now closed.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
did we all get copies of that list of all?
I read it for you, Bob.
Did everybody get a copy of that list? Did we all get copies of that? It wasn't one of the
Yes.
packets, so that's what
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. I'd like to get a copy of that.
It was in the mail today.
Oh, in the house?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll get mine a day later, okay. I just thought it was in our packet.
Okay, moving on, number 7, committee reports.
My streets ain't plowed yet, so they can't deliver mail.
I believe there are none. Committee reports is now closed. Number 8, ordinance is third and final reading. There are none. Moving on to number 9, introduction of ordinances, 14-01.
Ordinance 14-01, sponsored by Councilman Ulaki, and ordinance repealing ordinance 7983 and ordinance 8022, also known as section 33.2 of the Hammond Municipal Code.
Mr. President,
Councilman Ulaki.
I'd like to move this forward to first and second reading as council as a whole.
There's a motion by Councilman Ulaki, second by Councilman Kowinski. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
First and second passes. Moving on.
B, ordinance number 14-02, sponsored by Councilman Ulaki, and ordinance amending ordinance 6049, 7472, 8620, 8638, 8669, 9181, 4611, 7593, 7931, 8537, 4977, 7931, 5000, also known as section 37.020, 37.025, 37.027, and 37.028 of the Hammond Municipal Code as it pertains to employment policies for the Hammond firefighters.
Mr. President,
Councilman Ulaki.
I'd like to move this forward to first and second reading and then refer it to as council as a whole.
Motion by Councilman Ulaki, second by Councilman Spitali. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
I know in caucus, the mayor said that, he's going to present another proposal to the fire department. But yet and still, initially when we did the budget, and I'd like to point that out, initially when the budget was presented before the council, at one point I asked the mayor, before we passed the budget, would this affect the firefighters' negotiation? And the mayor told me no. Now we're here with ordinances to change the handbook. Initially, had it been told to us that the negotiations weren't final, maybe some of the decisions that were made in the budget would have changed. Maybe not. That's questionable. But yet and still, he told me at that point it wouldn't affect anything. And here we are now in the process of possibly having to change the rule book as it stands for the firemen in the city of Hammond. So that's my main concern as it relates to this particular ordinance.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Roll call vote.
First and second. First and second reading. All those in favor? Opposed?
No.
First and second passes. Moving on to number 10, resolutions.
Item 8, resolution, where is it? Wrong one. 14-01, sponsored by Councilman Opinker. A resolution adopting and approving an interlocal agreement for consolidation of public safety answering points in Lake County, Indiana.
Mr. President,
Councilman Hinojosa.
I move for final passage of 14R-01.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Hinojosa, second by Councilman Spitali. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Hinojosa.
this resolution is so that the 17 911s that we have right now, stations, it would go down to 2 911 stations.
Any other discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
I think initially with the consolidation and with the sheriff department, I think this is the purpose of this, where the cities have consolidated and made it more feasible for answering 911 calls. So I guess this is putting it in force that Hammond is in agreement with the procedure and process.
Any other discussion? Clerk Golick, roll call vote, 1401.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Ulaki.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Hinosa.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes. Resolution 14R-01 passes 9-0.
Item B, Resolution 14R-02. Sponsored by Councilman Emerson. A resolution confirming the reappointment of Heather Ann Gary as a commissioner of the Hammond Human Relations Commission of the City of Hammond, Indiana.
Mr. President,
Councilman Emerson.
I move for passage of 14R-02.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Emerson, second by Councilman Spitali. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Emerson.
yes, this is a reappointment of Attorney Gray, and she is the attorney for the Human Relations Commission and has done a great job. I spoke with her. You all have her resume. We are mandated to have an attorney for, I suppose, obvious reasons on the Human Relations Board.
Any other discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
I think we have one of the commissioners in the audience, and if we could allow him, I just have one question for him. If it's acceptable, Mr. President, if we could allow him to speak for 1 minute.
Sure.
Mr. Cheeks, as it relates to this attorney, how do you feel her capacity as leading in the human relation and working with the Human Relation Commission?
Very talented young lady. I had the opportunity of traveling with Gray to Texas and participating in discussions with the federal government. With dealing with the Human Relations Commission is very tough sometimes, dealing with a lot of the issues that exist. A lot of the stuff that we do is confidential, but I can tell you this, a lot of people get help because of having an attorney there and what the Hammond Human Relations Commission done. If that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Cheeks.
Any other discussion? Clerk Golick, roll call vote.
Markovich. Spitali. Yes. Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski. Ulaki.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes. Resolution 14R-02 passes 9-0.
President Opinker, that concludes the reading of the resolutions.
Moving on, number 11, new unfinished business.
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
I'd like a letter sent to the mayor's office, to the Board of Works, and the Law Department in regards to Bethany Child Care Development. There are some interested buyers in this particular property, and if they will give them adequate time to see if they're totally interested in purchasing it, and if they are, give them an opportunity to purchase the property and to redevelop it in my district. I so move.
Motion by Councilman Higgs, second by Councilman Hinojosa to send a letter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter sent.
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
the widening Roberts Jail, and since the city of Hammond, attention Thomas McDermott and Councilman Mark Kowinski. Dear McDermott and Councilman Kowinski, as you know, Klein Avenue was closed for several days to hundreds of potholes caused by significant damage to vehicles. This letter is to ask you to contact the Indiana Department of Transportation to provide the same emergency attention that stretches of Indianapolis Boulevard into the Robertsdale section of Hammond. Although this runway is a state responsibility, we are calling upon the contact of NDOT to bring about an immediate attention that is without doubt necessary. Intentionally, this roadway is used as immediate access to the Horseshoe Casino, which generates millions of dollars in state and city revenue. It seems only logical that this road will receive proper attention. Yet, the recent snowstorm and lack of plowing along a massive number of potholes indicates that the road is not a priority. Our members have noted obvious that the road is hazardous shape. While we have been told that the road will be reconstructed this year, it presents conditions that is nothing less than dangerous. With vehicles being endangered, our vehicles swerving across the median to avoid hitting another pothole. These dangerous conditions are magnified when considering that Franklin Elementary School is located along Indianapolis Boulevard and near the rural section of the pavement. We ask that the city of Hammond will also insist that when the road is being resurfaced, the drainage storms is improved, the regular massive flooding that occurs even during minor rain events needs to be addressed and is contributed to the pothole problem. City engineer Stan Destani is well aware of the flooding problem, having raised the issue numerous times and with NDOT in the past. Again, our business and resident members are being impacted by the current conditions, and we appreciate your assistance in addressing this matter. Sincerely, Tom Dapperton, President.
Any other non-finished business?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
as I do at every meeting, I'd like to announce some upcoming Crime Watch meetings. On Thursday, January 16th, Hessville Crime Watch will meet at the Gene Shepherd Center at 7 p.m. The South Hammond Crime Watch will also meet on Thursday, January 16th at 7 p.m. On Tuesday, January 21st, the East Hammond Pullman Crime Watch will meet at the Ophelia Steen Center at 6:30 p.m. And also the Columbia Crime Watch will meet Wednesday, January 22nd at 6 p.m. For those of you who are interested in knowing what's going on in your neighborhood, I urge you to attend some of these meetings. And that is how change happens. One gesture, one person, one moment at a time.
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
certainly we all know that Dr. King's celebration is on January 15th. Let us not forget the hard work that was put in as he was a leader and pioneer in civil rights active. And I can truly say he's impacted my life in terms of fighting for civil rights and injustice in America. So certainly let us not forget Dr. King and his remembrance.
Any other non-finished business?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
at our last council meeting, which was on December 9th, Ordinance 1355 was introduced and ultimately passed, transferring funds from several line items in the City Council's budget. We needed to reduce the amount of money that was transferred by $9,300 due to a discrepancy. The discrepancy occurred when a $9,300 claim was pulled at the final meeting of 2012. That claim was ultimately approved in January of 2013, and that claim was paid from the funds of the 2013 budget. It was suggested that the funds were lost. They were not lost. It was an end-of-year snafu that we did not really address properly at the end of 2012 and the beginning of 2013. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Councilman
I
Higgs.
just want to add one other thing. I know that you are the president, and I believe in respecting those that are in leadership capacity. But as one of your colleagues, I just ask that if Debbie's not going to be present in the office, if we could just be notified, because a lot of times there are issues that may come up in particular districts or things that need to be submitted in a timely manner. And now that we only have one secretary serving 9 people, it's very important that at least we be notified. So I just ask that we just be notified. If she's not going to be present on a particular day, we can just, I know emergencies may occur and it may not happen all the time, but if we know that she's not going to be present or be in the building on a particular day, if we could just be notified.
Thank you, Councilman Higgs. I'll take care of that. Any other new and finished business?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
that claim of $9,300, what was that for?
That was a claim that was pulled at the end of 2012. If I recall, it was a claim submitted by Attorney Berger.
Any other new and finished business?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilwoman Venez.
I wanted to thank our Public Works Department for the great job that they did during this recent storm. We have over 26 miles of roads to plow, and we have over 25,000 homes in the city of Hammond who each expect their street to be cleaned immediately. Mother Nature didn't give Public Works much of a break, but I think they did a great job, and I would just like to say thank you.
Any other new and finished business?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
I can concur with Councilwoman Venez and even the mayor. I mean, we got hit with a lot. A lot of us, you can complain all you want, but it's an act of God, act of nature. And I mean, I was stuck for, a day and a half, couldn't even get out and so forth and that. And it's tough to do, I mean, especially for emergency personnel and everything. And it's just one of those things that we're trying to do the best we can with what we have, and that's about it. And people just have to realize that, try and be patient, And then like they told you, stay off the roads. Don't go anywhere. You didn't have to go in here, because if you went somewhere, you end up getting stuck. I mean, a lot of businesses were closed and so forth, restaurants. And sometimes you just have to use common sense and just bear with it, and then hopefully, things will work out in the long run. And I'm sure I'm not saying anything different for the mayor, or I'm not speaking for the mayor, but for the council and all. It was just a tough thing to do, and, a lot of people needed their snow shoveled. I was just telling Councilwoman Emerson, I couldn't even clean the sidewalk from the front to the back of my house because of 3-foot snow drifts, but I took the path of least resistance where the wind blew it, and, end up digging a path on the grass, and sometimes that's the things you have to do. So, hopefully, well, winter's not over with yet, but hopefully we won't get too much more of this. And from what I understand, this has probably been the first time in 20 years, it's the coldest weather we've had since 20 years, for what they were saying on the newscast.
Any other new and unfinished business? New and unfinished business is now closed. Time for public expression. Our first speaker will be Ola Smith.
Good evening. My name is Ola Smith, and in regards to the comment about...
Could you state your address, ma'am?
825 Becker Street in Hammond. In regards to the snow removal, no, you did not do the best job that you could do. There were cars that were blocked in by the snowplows, and then you gave them tickets because you blocked them in. There should have been an action plan because it was on TV that the inclement weather was coming. There was no salt put on the roadways, Calumet Avenue, or Columbia Avenue, or Indianapolis Boulevard. I was in Chicago last Wednesday. The streets in Chicago were better than the streets in Hammond, and they have a much larger populace than we do. And there are cars that you're putting orange stickers on. And there's 2 car lots on Calumet Avenue that has abandoned cars just sitting there, and nobody's putting tickets on those. But you're putting tickets on residents' cars because they were blocked in by snow, and these are taxpayers. So I feel like as a taxpayer, they deserve the service that they pay for. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker will be Mr. Colonel Anthony Daggett.
Good evening to this honorable council. It's always a privilege to come before you and speak to you. Congratulations, President, on your reelection. Ladies and gentlemen, I know most of what comes before this council puts it in much of a reactionary mode. But I'd like to encourage the council for 2014 maybe to try to project out as we move forward. I know it's difficult to establish goals and objectives because you don't know what's going to come before you. But I'd like us to consider the possibility. Here's an example, the snow issue. That may have been the worst snow in 20 years, but there's no guarantee in the Midwest that we won't have another very same situation. So things like that we need to project out. As a council, we need to kind of look at those things and see if we can project some of these things that are happening to the council into 2014. We know the mayor will be presenting his State of the City address report around March, giving us an idea of where the city has gone, where it's currently, and where it will be going in the future. Maybe, just possibly, the council might want to consider something along those lines. Some projecting into 2014 as to what we should be prepared for, what could befell us as a council and as a city. And I want to encourage that particularly. We have enormous issues that are perplexing our nation right now. And I think many of them can only be solved at the local level. I really believe that, at the municipal, state level. We can't expect the federal government to do everything, but there's some things that we can do to help ourselves. And I want to encourage the council to look at the potential of the job situation in our city, in our town. I don't know if you heard the recent report just the other day. There's a report out now saying that 1/3 of all single women with children are living below the poverty line. That's 48 million women and children. That's surely something that the council can begin to look at and see how we can help. How can we make a difference right here in Hammond? How can we maybe lead the nation? This council can lead the nation in many of its desires to make a better country as well as a better place for us all to live in. So I want to encourage the council to do that. I'm looking forward to working with the council, speaking to the council during the course of 2014. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Colonel. Next speaker, Mr. George Stoya. Final speaker, Mr. Alvin Cheeks.
Alvin Cheeks, 832 Merrill Street. The first issue I'd like to talk about is coyotes. It might seem insignificant to most people. A lady over on Van Buren Street got her dog attacked by a coyote. We've chased maybe 5, maybe 6 of them. It's a thing that I think is a city problem, and it's a residential problem. You can legally take coyotes, but the coyotes are congregating on city properties and making their dens. One of them was bringing up to the council president behind the fire station. For some odd reason, their dens are close to schools, like by Maywood and by Eggers. Every morning, we push them away. The second issue is that I strongly support Bethany Child Care and that property getting developed. During the storm, I think we personally dug out maybe 200 cars, if not more. Everybody was stranded. The thing that I think needs to happen in Hammond is that they need to make odd and even streets like they do in some cities when they plow in one side, then they do the other one. You know, I personally created a problem for Mr. Gold. I have to apologize. We always go through his daughter's street, not because of him, because I like Mr. Gold's wife, and he has a grandkid there. So when we go into Illinois doing our stuff, we take care of Mr. Golick. And Mr. Golick doesn't pay us. He doesn't ask me to go there. We go there because of Mr. Golick's wife, and that's her grandkids. So if he's taking heat for that, I don't know if he did this time. Usually he does. That'd be me going there. It doesn't be because he asked me. It's because I go where I want to go. I like to thank my guys for really working hard. We rescued a lot of seniors and helped a lot of people. We do take payment, but we take payment from a private donor that helps us with our gas and helps us with the gear. We don't work for the city. We don't take our orders from anybody but us. So if we end up somewhere doing a street or a house, it's because of us, you know, and not because of anybody else. So those guys that work, they work out of the goodness of their heart, and we don't stop until it's over. So I really want to thank them, and, you know, we even say a couple of the councilmen. So it was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Alvin, so much for plugging my closing part.
Yeah, we did help Councilman Higgs too, you know, and, you know, I don't call out names. It's a lot of fun for me because I like being out in the cold, you know, so I just want to thank you guys and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Cheeks. We have a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Motion by Councilman Hinojosa, second by Councilman Markovich.